Hello and welcome to your program. This is Souk Pulse, and you know we are live on Souk News. Here it's all about positive programming. So it doesn't matter the negativity that has hit you all week down to this particular day. We'll tell you, hey, come to Souk News and detox. Now you're wondering, what am I talking about? Hey, every time you open up your social media handles, those television stations, and all what you get to hear is this bad, that bad, government A, government B, business D, business C. We tell you in all this, what can we take out of it? What can we use and see businesses getting better? Now, in all the chaos, that is where opportunities are. That is where the solutions are. And if you can provide that particular solution, then you are in business. Then you say, yes, Souk News have done something. That is why we are all employed, and that is why we are here. It can't be all about negative narrative. No. Welcome to your show. Yes, today we are going back to where we stopped on Monday. It's been a week that has been saddled with a whole lot of controversies. A lot of people talking up, down, center. Some issues we don't really have a grasp on. Some things are just hanging in the air. But remember, here we are all about productivity. So we talk it. We are all about what our business is doing. So we talk it. We are all about getting those policies right. And so we also talk it. So we are looking at that particular saga that has bedeviled us for a while, the Dangote Refinery. And we are looking at it from this particular perspective. What exactly are the real issues? How does that particular story, the issues, affect the ordinary person on the street? Someone will say, it doesn't concern me, it's not my father's money. Are you sure? Some will say, after all, petrol cost is still high. Are you sure? Now let's get to the basics and ask real questions. To do justice to this particular topic for this day, a continuation from Monday, is no other but our own Sam Orovwuje. Sir, you're welcome to Souk Pulse again.
My pleasure, Chooks.
It's always a delight when I have you this way.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, those particular smiles speaks volume.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Also, we have someone that will be joining us virtually. He is an industry player, someone that has been there for well over 25 years, counting up to 30. We have Mr. Odafe, who happens to be, well, he's been in the both upstream and midstream, Mr. Emmanuel Igbini Odafe. He's an expert in the oil sector, and he has joined us virtually. He will throw a whole lot of light from what is happening in his place. Then Mr. Sam will give us a broader perspective on how it is hitting us as a public. So you're welcome, sir, to Souk Pulse. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
This particular connection was made and perfected by our own dear Mr. Sam. So I'll say thank you too very much for making this happen, sir.
A pleasure.
Good. We are looking at the Dangote Refinery and we are asking ourselves, what are the real issues? Now, before we head in there, let's just go straight and tell ourselves this out of the way. Is the Dangote Refinery a business of national interest? That is where we now say, okay, does it concern me? Does it not concern me? So is that refinery a business of national interest, sir?
From my own understanding, it's a private business, but is of national interest because the products that are rolled out of that refineries will benefit the citizens in the long run. In that regard, therefore, we can consider it as a national asset, even though privately driven, with some inroads of the government in terms of investment. So if you look at the interplay between the end products that is coming from that refineries that are beneficial to citizens, then you can consider it as a national asset, though it's a private enterprise.
National asset, though is a private enterprise. Okay, Mr. Odafe, can I come to you, please? Do you share same views with Mr. Sam on this, that it's could pass as a national interest?
No, with due respect, I don't. It's purely, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, please.
Okay. It is purely a private entity, private business. So the whole attempt to make it have that coloration of national interest is unacceptable by me.
Now, the whole is not acceptable. Now, let's move forward. The initiators of this project, be it Dangote and everybody that invested in this, do you think they foresaw these issues coming?
The question you should ask is,
I'm going to you right now. Where we are right now, the initiators of this particular project, of the refinery, and those that invested in it from the onset, did they see this kind of problems that they are facing right now?
they didn't see, but God is at work.
Okay,
to save
let's hold that particular
Nigeria
thought.
and Nigeria.
Sir, let me come to you. Do you think they foresaw these issues right now?
It's difficult, but based on their business viability and what they think the business portend in terms of how viable to the investors, some of those challenges in terms of business sustainability may have taken cognizance of the likelihood that there are likely to be roadblocks in the process. I'm not speaking for Dangote, but as business enterprise, I'm sure they'll be able to factor in some of those challenges upfront, some of those things that are likely to affect the business coming through to its final fruition. But then some, the business scanning model they will have used may not have taken cognizance of some of all the challenges that will play out. But then, as a business venture, I'm sure they will have placed some of the scenarios out of the likelihood of what will happen along the line. But I don't want to be involved in the politics of what is happening currently. But I just want to deal with substantial issues in terms of how businesses are run, what are the elements between the regulator and those who are investors in the marketplace.
Okay, regulators and investors in the marketplace. Good. Now, let's come to you, Mr. Odafe. You've been in this sector, you are still in this sector, and now let's come to your experience and ask these particular questions. Let's scratch this particular wound. What exactly, or to your extent of knowledge, what are the issues that are playing out now with the Dangote Refinery?
Well, it is clear. Let me repeat myself. The number of times you ask me that question, I will give you the same answer. That the hand of God is at play to save
what is God doing?
the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God?
The hand of God is at play. What is it doing?
Of course, bringing those who have been exploiting 200 million Nigerians, bringing them together to scatter them. You see, they've been exposing themselves, all the manner of economic crimes they've been committing against the people of this country. I say that over and over, and I challenge Dangote and his colleagues in NEPROC and the rest of them to disprove whatever I'm saying. I'm an engineer by profession, okay? So I'm not a man of God or a preacher. But when you hear me talk about the hand of God, know that it is deliberate. Dangote recently cried out there's a certain cabal in the petroleum industry, and I laugh. Was he not part of the cabal? He's been part of the cabal. The reason they have continued to prevent the 4 refineries belonging to Nigeria from operating and producing is because they had this plan collectively to have their so-called Dangote refinery that will now take everything from the 4 refineries and then focus on the Dangote refinery. And that has been working for them until a few days ago when God just intervened. And now look at them. So Dangote
now,
refinery
when you say
has never
when
been
God
for the
just
overriding interest of
intervened, now
Nigerians.
this is a full topic for a 10 paper. So we'll just hold that particular thought at that particular place. Let's go further and still ask. If we look at the Dangote refinery, is supposed to be a 650,000 barrels per day production plant. The 4 refineries put together, the 2 in Port Harcourt, that in Warri, and the one in Kaduna, is 445,000, which means this is still bigger in production size. At what point in time can we say that we have gotten it wrong? Either for production-wise or as a people in saying, okay, if this is not working, let this work. And not just the cabal issue. Hello, Mr. Odafe, are you still with us?
I am. Are you asking me the question? Or?
To go on that before I come back to Mr. Sam. Now, either as a people or as a business, before we go to NNPC, we have 4 good refineries, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri and Kaduna. Combined capacity 445,000. Dangote 650,000 barrels per day. Now, as a people, this, however it has happened, whether they are directly responsible and we have tickets to show or not, how can we as a people say, let one work?
Let our refineries work. Let Dangote keep his own refinery.
Okay.
Nigerians have
you
no
stand
business
for let
with Dangote
Dangote keep his refinery to work, or which one?
Yes. Dangote should face his refinery and let Nigerians face our own 4 refinery. The Warri refinery is right behind my house in Warri. And I know what has been happening over the years. Okay? So please, let Nigerians not be made to believe that their hope lies in the so-called Dangote refinery. Please. I hate to hear that. It's an insult on my intelligence.
Can we go back to now the 4 refineries? It's been over 15 years that budget in, budget out, yet they are not producing.
Yes.
Why?
There's nothing wrong with refineries. It's the same setting cabal. It didn't start today, that they have been using these refineries under the guise of turnaround maintenance and looting billions of naira from this country. And then they came up again with their so-called subsidy payment. So shut down the refineries and let's start importing fuel where we claim non-existing subsidy on petroleum product. And then they line their pocket and make all the money and fly out of this country and build houses in US, Dubai, buy all manner of things that they can do. It didn't start today. It just as Dangote also came in and saw an opportunity. Remember, there was this news that he wanted to buy the Warri refinery or Port Harcourt refinery, and Yar'Adua refused. Are you aware? Before he now started his own Dangote refinery. And Nigerians were not consulted. A so-called NNPC, managed by a few persons, decided to pump in billions of our naira into that private refinery without consulting Nigerians. And you see how God has exposed them?
Now we are beginning to understand
the Nigerian refineries had no issue. I'm an
and
engineer.
the lane where you tow. But we'll still continue this conversation, and we hope you will give us a better understanding as it comes to workings within this particular industry. Mr. Sam, let me come to you. Now, do you see this as a personal issue, interest issue, sabotage issue, or just tussle for power?
I think there are interests based on what we have in the public space. There are core issues between the regulator, those who have investment, Dangote refineries, and all the periphery within that sector in what we have in the public. Therefore, there are core issues that need to be resolved. And thankfully, the National Assembly has set up a joint committee at the National Assembly to deal with the issues, as it were, frontally. So without being preemptive of the core issues of the joint committee of the National Assembly, let's see the outcome of that investigative probe, as they call it, into the issues between Dangote, the regulator, and some other vested interests within that sector. Maybe as we progress, we'll be able to speak to specific issues based on the questioning. There's no doubt in my mind that there are core issues in respect of the current happening between Dangote as a private sector investment and the regulators on the one hand, and Dangote on the other hand. So, but since the National Assembly has instituted a probe panel, let's wait till the outcome of that investigative panel brings its reports.
Okay, now let's look into what Engineer Odafe said. He's still with us. Please don't go anywhere. Now, he brought up this particular notion that there is nothing wrong with the refineries. But they've not been producing.
Well, what we have in the public space is that they've been doing turnaround maintenance. Whether they are producing, whether they are not producing, is the responsibility of the NNPC.
At this rate, who should hold them responsible?
I think the National Assembly should hold them to account.
Not
because
the people.
The people have elected them to represent generality of Nigerians in terms of what happens within the country. Therefore, it's important that the National Assembly, with their oversight function, should be able to dig into this matter and see whether the turnaround maintenance, and my dear brother has mentioned the fact that there's nothing wrong with the refineries. So since a technical person, as an engineer, be able to postulate and give us some clear or deep insight into that statement. But what is in the public sphere is that the refineries are not working, and they've been undergoing turnaround maintenance. And in the last 5 years or thereabout, we've been told that in 2 months, 3 months, the refinery will start producing. The various Minister of State for Petroleum, the President has the responsibility for that industry. So those other Minister of State have promised us that the refineries will soon come on stream. But with the benefit of hindsight, those promises has been made in the past. So we don't know how quickly that this can come true.
Now, let's look back at the National Assembly that you're pushing forward. In the last regime, over the years, it's still the National Assembly that has approved the money that were used for this turnaround maintenance. So who should probe who? If I approve money for you to maintain something or purchase something or go into a contract, I think at the end of the year, whether you are retiring or not, I should be able to say, okay, what have you done? Where have you gotten to? If my administration can't finish it, then the next National Assembly should start it.
Yeah, the point here is that we can only speak to some issues that we don't have a deep understanding of the matter at stake. Now, the Joint National Assembly Committee has put up an investigative panel or a probe panel in place where technical people, regulators.
Is the panel for Dangote or for NNPC refineries?
It's for every element that make up that industry.
Okay.
The regulators, midstream, downstream, and possibly some element of the upstream will be involved in that process. They want to look at the various claim and the counterclaim of the regulator and the private sector man, who is Dangote, who has made some claim. So we don't know who, at this point, really, genuinely, to believe until we have the two elements with independent people who are technical in nature in terms of those claims. To what extent are those claims right? Those who are into laboratory services, who are trained in terms of compliance, product compliance, standards, specifications, and all that. By the time they are able to come up with their report, we will know the true state of affair of what is in the public space. Personally, it would be too premature to speak specifically on the issue since it's before the Joint Committee of the National Assembly.
Okay. Engineer Odafe, I hope you're still with us. Let's get back to you. We need your honest opinion on this, your opinion. Now, who stands to gain, who stands to profit when the refineries that happens to be ours, the public refineries are not working, and this that happens to be a private entity refinery, the Dangote refinery, is not working. Who stands to profit? Who stands to gain?
Why did you ask for my honest view? I don't tell lies. Okay. Let me first of all inform Nigerians through this platform, for those who don't know, that I actually advise former President Buhari to be Minister of Petroleum Resources. I also advise President Tinubu to also assume that position. That is to tell you the extent I know about the petroleum industry in Nigeria, the rot inside, the depth of massive fraud, and all manner of ethical practices that have been taking place in the petroleum sector, particularly the upstream, for decades. And one person who worked for one of the leading multinational oil companies, and 24 years ago, I had my employment terminated simply because I raised the alarm of what everybody is seeing today, 24 years ago, and that cost me my job. So when we talk about the petroleum industry, it hurts me so deep. It's an issue I take seriously because the hope of this country lies in the petroleum sector, particularly the upstream. That your naira has become worthless today like a piece of paper is because previous presidents have failed, deliberately or otherwise, to deal ruthlessly with the petro terrorists in this sector. I say that with all sense of responsibility because their action actually threatens not only the economy of this country, but the national security of this country. It's as serious as that. So it is not a question of, oh, wait for the National Assembly. It is not waiting for the National Assembly because at the end of the day, with due respect to most of them, they are going to invite certain persons who are familiar with them and they go and speak the same grammar and then deceive Nigerians. We know, I know. Quote me. Quote me. Google my name. What is happening today, I repeat, I'm not talking just, look, I studied mechanical engineering, electrical electronics engineering, petroleum engineering, and I worked in the heart of the production department of an upstream company of one of the leading multinational oil companies, or OIC, you call them. Okay? So this thing is so touchy. Let's not trivialize it. Let's not wait for any National Assembly. Nigerians must start shouting. People like us have insisted that no matter the number of times they try to discourage us, we are going to speak up. That a certain protest is on the air or in the air is because the petroleum sector has not been properly managed. And I've asked the president and commander-in-chief, being the Minister of Petroleum Resources, to declare full war. These people who are responsible for the sorry state that we have found ourselves in this country are very few. Some of them are top that within the top management staff cadre of the IOCs, of the NNPC, now called the so-called NNPCL. They are in the former DPRO, now NUPROC, and then now the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency. And that's why I told you that, look, I'm not joking when I say that God is at work. I'm not joking. Because nobody would have been able to deal with it. Imagine a Dangote coming out to confess that as powerful as he is, he realized suddenly that the cabal in the petroleum sector is more than what he has ever expected in his life. He pointedly accused the IOC, but the question I asked him, there's nothing like IOC. Mention the names of those in the IOC that you know frustrating you. Mention the names of those in NNPC frustrating you. Don't come and tell us NNPC, IOC, and no, call their names. They're individuals. IOCs don't frustrate anybody. It is the employees of is it the MD of Total Energy? Is it the MD of Shell? Is it the exploration manager? Just mention their names. My brother there is talking about, what did he say? A core issue. There are no core issues. There are no core issues. What is going on is that those who have colluded, united to exploit Nigerians have suddenly started disagreeing among themselves. And this is what is happening. And that was why yesterday I wasted no time. I issued a press statement strongly objecting to the intervention of the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Lupobri. that your intervention is unacceptable. Allow these people to confess before Nigeria so that we hear all the atrocities that they have committed against this country. Nobody should intervene, because Ojukwu once said the problem with Nigeria is that we love the unreal and hate the truth. And then when discussions have gotten to the point of threshold of finding the basic truth, people begin to intervene in order to hold the discussion. That is the problem we face in this country. Now God has made them now to have a disagreement. This is the same NNDPRO that gave Dangote waivers. Are you aware? They gave waivers to Dangote to supply polluted diesel to Nigeria. Over 600 ppm was allowed. But this is the same NNDPRO now, within days or weeks, they are now saying, no, we do not agree with you. You see the contradiction. That's why I say that they are not confessing. They are confessing.
Now, we've had Mr. Sam Orovwuje. He has given us a lot and good wisdom, telling us the issues that affect not just business, but public interest and business interest. On the other side, we also have Engineer Emmanuel Odafe. He has come out as an expert to tell us some basic side of his truth. Things Nigerians and Nigeria shy away from for a while. But hey, we'll bring it up and we'll still keep it there for everybody to now come up and talk. Remember, this is Soup Pulse. We'll tell you wherever you are, talk, argue. As long as you don't throw punches, we are okay with it. As long as you don't go around insulting people or being negative on it, we are okay with it. But let's talk. If we don't talk, then we have a problem. When we start talking, solutions are not far away. If we can't find solutions, then we escalate it. Solutions will come. It's all about productivity. Now we're going back to Engineer Odafe. Hope you're still with us, sir. Now, we spoke, before we went on the break, we spoke about the Dangote issues. Now, let's come down to our own refineries. We have the two in Port Harcourt, we have in Warri, we have in Kaduna. We have monies that have been spent. I 100% refuse to total them. It's very depressing. And I 100% refuse to add up the years. That's more depressing. Who should we hold responsible as a people? Because if there is one thing I can remember here that Mr. Sam have taught me is citizen diplomacy. And we are very far from it. Who should Nigerians start holding responsible? Because if we don't, this will continue. What is happening with these refineries that belong to us is not an NNPC project or NNPC property. It belongs to every Nigerian. Who should we hold responsible for them not producing?
Well, we are now in a democracy, you know, and we have representative at the National Assembly. And by provision of Section 88 and 89, they have the constitutional power to summon the minister, the substantive minister of petroleum resources, to come and give account of what is happening. And that person happened to be the same person who is the president of Nigeria. I hope they find that courage. And this was the same challenge I gave to them during Buhari. I said, Buhari accepted my advice to be Minister of Petroleum Resources. If you are scared of inviting him as Chief President and Commander-in-Chief, invite him as Minister of Petroleum Resources. So that is the challenge. It is the National Assembly that Nigerians should insist to save us from this continued unpatriotic acts. It didn't start today, right from the military. But now we are now in a democracy, so it is the National Assembly that should be held responsible. I hope they find that patriotic courage. They should be the one to summon the Minister of Petroleum Resources, not the Minister of State, please. The Minister of Petroleum Resources. His name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He should appear before the National Assembly. And people like us, we are ready to come there to ask the question that answers must be provided. You know, look at this country. I have told you, frankly speaking, I don't joke with matters like this. The refinery in Kaduna didn't have problem. Remember, it was the issue of pipeline vandalization. The supply line from Warri to Kaduna was the one we're told was being attacked all the time. And that gradually led to what? The refinery not working. At the time, they even imported heavy crude oil from Venezuela. That crude oil, Kaduna Refinery Council actually produced bitumen that we need for our asphalt to make, to construct our roads. That is the only refinery. Others don't have that capacity. Now, that kept Kaduna Refinery at that level for years. Now, Port Harcourt was working, Warri was working, and then from nowhere, instruction came from Abuja that they should shut those refineries down, that they want to carry out a turnaround maintenance. And the workers were like wondering, what's going on? Because they shut it down. When you talk about turnaround maintenance, you're not turning around everything. If it is the pumping unit or the distillation unit that you want to maintain, you maintain that. But the impression be given as if we are reconstructing these refineries all over. And that was why Dangote challenged them by asking the question, where is the $4 billion that you have spent so far in your turnaround maintenance? He was asking those in the regulatory agency to tell Nigerians where that $4 billion went into. Dangote is not a man who just open his mouth and be talking without facts. I believe that he has the fact. When he accused them that some of them have a blending plant somewhere in the world, Dangote is not somebody who talks just carelessly. Are you getting my point? I have said, these refineries, please.
Okay. Now, before we get to the part of the blending plant, which for now doesn't concern us, let's now talk to ourselves. We as a people, I think that is what the Constitution calls us. The Constitution calls us. We, the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How can we get our representatives, be it those in the House of Rep, be it those in the Senate, to act and get back, even if they can't get back the monies that have been spent, and hold somebody responsible for this amount of monies that have been put into these refineries?
Like I mentioned earlier, that the Joint Committee of the National Assembly is already doing an investigative probe.
Before we get to National Assembly, can we as a people call our reps one by one?
No, I'm trying to lay a background before I can answer your question specifically. The point here is that since we are operating under a constitution, the National Assembly has the representation of a Nigerian. So if I answer your question directly, the point here is that this issue is of national interest. Therefore, citizens can call a call to action, placing a demand on their various representatives that this issue is of national interest, is of concern to them, and that they want to see the end point of this issue in terms of how much has been spent on the turnaround maintenance. Why have we not gotten value for money in terms of some of those promises? Maybe if we get those kinds of pressure from citizens, and which you alluded to earlier, what I call citizen diplomacy, where citizens are able to put their government to account in terms of accountability, transparency, and put a call to action of what they want their representative to pursue as an agenda in the National Assembly. Maybe that will help us to find some deep answers to those questions that are begging for answers.
Okay, thank you very much. But still hold that thought. I'm coming back to you. Engineer Odafe, I hope you're still there. Now, we are going back to Dangote Refinery. Now, we have no Dangote Refinery, whether it's 45% complete or not, just like Farouk Ahmed said, that is his claim. We have not investigated that. Whether they are producing substandard product, that is also his claim. Whether they want monopoly, that is also his claim. That was one fourth thing. But now, before I get there, there are some other modular refineries that are up. We also know BUA is also building a refinery. We know the Niger Delta University, they have a modular refinery. Now, for all these other refineries that are coming up, be it small, be it big, do you see them facing this same challenge?
My brother, you see, in my master's project, I intentionally took up the issue of marginal feed because my intention was to squeeze some of these oil feeds from the multinationals and give them to Nigerians so that we can demonstrate beyond that if we are protesting against environmental pollution or lack of care for our host communities that we Nigerians will be able to show that these things are doable, not just that we are being unreasonable. But I can tell you, see all these licenses they give to these people. Honestly, they need to be probed. What is the intention? Most of them just collect these licenses, they allocate oil wells to them, and then off they go. Without metering, they pump this crude oil, and these are part of the same crude oil they sell out. Show me one of those refineries that have been producing and who they have been supplying those their diesel or petrol to. Show me all this one you listed. We must guess, we are joking with it, with the survival of this country. The petroleum sector is not the sector that you just open to just anybody. We have so bastardized it under the cover of local content, what? And all manner of shenanigans, unpatriotic acts going on. Hello. I worked in this sector. I wasn't just an employee of an IOC sitting in the office. I worked directly in the production department, onshore, offshore, and what you call the shallow waters. I know it inside out. I know what has been going on. You see all these licenses, marginal feed, local refinery, fake, fake, fake. Some use it to collect dollars. Listen to me.
I'm trying to
giving
listen
you
to you,
privileged
but
information.
let's also put this caveat out that this is not our stand, though. But we are taking
It
this
is
from
mine.
our
I
guest,
am
who happens to
comrade,
be someone that
and I
has worked in that
am
particular place and an expert. So he's giving us his take on this. You can go ahead, sir.
comrade engineer Igbini Odafe Emmanuel. I work for Total Energies E&P Nigeria Limited. I'm not a baby. I am too patriotic. I've told you how I lost my job. If I was still in that system, I probably would have been deputy MD of that company. How many of my colleagues do you think will come and talk to you like this? I'm giving a privilege and you take it.
Now, let's have your take on this.
Let me tell
If
you
you
one other
happen
thing.
to be, let me say, in government, because we want to believe that the highest places of authority where issues can be resolved is in government. If you happen to be in government today, what changes will you start making?
First of all, I have asked the president, who is the Minister of Petroleum Resources, use the opposition, get an executive bill to the National Assembly without delay for that PIA to be what? Repealed. It is a disaster for this country. When they were jumping up and down, with due respect to them, I said this is wrong because I know the intrigues involved. Look, the creation of NUPROC under that act, this NNDPA, and the so-called NNPCL. Oh my God. That document or that act need to be repealed, and NNPCL should be returned back to what it used to be, NNPC, not this limited that has been given to few persons to run as they like. Are you getting me? Now, in that NUPROC, you have a board. Board of what? Board to do what? In this same NNDPROA, you also have a board where you appoint people. Listen to me. We don't know what God has given to us concerning the petroleum sector. Are you getting my point? It is not something we should toy with. And I so much appreciate my brother there, where he said, this is the time for a call for what? Action. Nigerians who are unhappy, rather than storming the street as they are planning, storm the National Assembly. Get members of your constituency, get them to say, ask the right question. I, Comrade Igbini, I am very, very ready to provide the answers. Are you getting my point?
Yes,
So
we
you
are.
said the allegation
Now,
about
one more
NNDPR
question
concerning
before we let you go.
substandard.
One
No,
more
let
question
me
before we
also
let you
correct
go.
one thing.
Now, we are
said.
looking at an industry where, if we follow history and what we've seen, a lot of the crude, we've done a whole lot of crude swap, sold in future tense, if I will use that. Now, we still have oil blocks, some being explored, some not being explored. Now, let me say, ask you, if you happen to be in government and in a position of authority, how will you balance we paying the money past leaders or present have spent on oil that has not even been explored and being able to explore for local use? What will you do?
companies or government or whoever they enter this kind of deal with on our behalf, invite them. I would tell you that a lot will be exposed. They tell us that they use our crude oil to obtain loan. Who? How? Who? How? They should bring those people forward and let's question them. These things are just things they arrange. Remember during the COVID-19, what did they tell us? Oh, we are even producing and nobody to buy. We're looking for people to dash our crude oil to. Let them show us those ships, those millions of barrels of crude oil during those periods of COVID. Who they dash those crude oil to? We want to know them. We want to know them. Let me tell you, they keep talking about crude oil theft. It is not what you hear. There are scientific way of stealing crude oil by the companies, not only piping straight into unauthorized vessels. Technically, if you're looking like this, you will not understand. We can manipulate the PS&W. We can also manipulate the meters. We can bypass the meters. You heard recently that the TPR, now NUPROC, telling Nigerians that federal government had decided to take that responsibility. What an insult. What an insult. Every test separator or production separator comes incorporated with what we call metering device. There's a meter. So where is the TPR or any PRC coming with their own meter now? There are too many. Look, President Tinubu, I beg you, on my knees. Your Renew Hope agenda will not work. It is not focusing on CBN reforms or economy. It is where the main thing is the petroleum sector. I voted for you, I campaigned for you. I'm not a member of APC, but I saw the patriotic courage you displayed in Lagos as the leader of Lagos State. And that was why I said, come and rescue this country. Forget about economy, forget about CBN. Find that courage in the petroleum sector. And the time is now. God has exposed them. God has exposed them.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Emmanuel. Igbini Odafe. It's been good having you on Souk Pulse for the first time, and you honored us irrespective of the short notice. Thank you very much, sir.
It's all about the country. Remember, you have a constitutional duty under Section 24 of the Nigerian Constitution to contribute to the progress, peace, and advancement of Nigeria. So that is what I'm doing. Call me anytime. I am going to carry out my constitutional duty for this beloved country, the best you can find anywhere in this world. Now, here with you, no jackpotting to anywhere.
We are grateful. Mr. Sam, now, let me pose the same question to you. If you happen to be in government and you can advise, be it the head of government or be it directly to the president, what will you tell him to sort out this issue between the Dangote and what is happening with our refineries?
I think for me, the core is a regulatory framework that work in the interests of citizens. Once citizens cannot get value for money, then leadership become questionable. So in the same regard, therefore, is that the leadership should be more accountable, should be more transparent, and it should be citizen-focused, so that the commonwealth of the citizen is used for the common good and the public good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. It's been a pleasure having you on Souk Pulse.
With pleasure, always.
Thank you. Now, to every one of us, there is one single thing I will be taking home. From Engineer Odafe, he said we should all get active, every one of us, looking at the National Assembly. And from our erudite scholar, he said the same thing, citizenship diplomacy. Now, it's our responsibility. Pick up your phone. If your House of Rep, your senator lives close to you, walk to him, call him, and tell him that this is something we want a solution for. And that was why we sent them there. They should be up and doing. They are the hope we have right now. Hitting the streets is slower. Getting them to do that is faster. So let's all stand on our feet. Let's pick up our phones. Let's walk to their places. Let's tell them to do the right thing. This country belongs to all of us, not NNPC. Thank you very much for being part of Souk Pulse. So we'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, be your brother's keeper. And the last line, never keep quiet. My name is Strux, John Rogers Strux. Have yourself a beautiful evening.